In our country, the most important source of spiritual wisdom is the Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita itself is considered to be a Gita Upanishad, also considered to be one of the Upanishads. In fact, one great teacher mentioned that Gita has 18 Upanishads because there are 18 chapters. And one very important concept that the Bhagavad-gita teaches is about self-realization. So, what is self-realization? The first thing is about ourself. Bhagavad-gita points out, we usually think about ourselves in terms of our body. So I will say I'm an Indian because I was born in India. I'm so many years old because I was born so many years back. And I had this kind of training or that kind of education, whatever, because of my body and my psychological mind-body intelligence system went through that kind of an education. So mostly we think we are our body. Bhagavad-gita says we are not our body. We are an occupant in the body. Just like there is a car, there's a driver in the car. If the driver is not there, the car will not work. Old time, I'm saying. You have some unusual things happening in this country. Taking that apart. There is a driver, and because of the driver, the car is moving around. And if the driver abandons the car will remain in the parking lot for hours and hours. So today I'm speaking to you, I'm using my vocal cords, and I'm making some sounds, and that sound is traveling and vibrating in your eardrums, and it is making sense because we have a language. We have something called a language, and I'm trying to communicate something to you. And I can, instead of speaking, probably I can sing. I'm not a great singer. I'm not going to attempt either. But anyway, there are good singers who can sing, or they can play an instrument, or there are professors who will teach. All of these things that I can do or some others can do, as long as the driver in his body is present. And when the driver leaves, or if something happens, then collapse. And then they will say, oh, what happened to him? Oh, he's gone. See? So what is it that was present in the body, which animated the body and enabled us to do all of the things that we do? And in the absence of which, this very body, which was so useful and displayed so much talent and creativity, whatever, is just then it is just has to be disposed of. And in different cultures, there are different ways of disposing. And in our country, we just turn it into ashes. And that's it. So, in the Bhagavad-gita, there is this, the one example is given in the Gita to help us understand this whole phenomenon. Krishna says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. This is a verse in Sanskrit. Some of you may be able to understand. Krishna has used two words in this verse, deha and dehi. Deha means the body. Dehi means the occupant of the body. The Sanskrit language itself lends itself to articulate these philosophical concepts. There is a body and there is an occupant in the body. Another thing that Gita points out is, although there is an occupant which is different from the body, like a driver in the car, we often mistake ourselves to be the body. It's like somebody comes into this gathering and then I ask him, who are you? And then he says, I am BMW. Maybe you have a BMW car, I can understand. Tell me, who are you? And then he again says, I'm a 2024 model. Okay, I can understand. You must be having a BMW which is 2024 model. Can you please tell me who you are? And then again he says, I'm silver grey. Okay, I understand. You must be having a silver grey BMW of 2024. But who are you? So this man is so obsessed with his car. Every time I ask him who he is, he describes himself in terms of his car. It's quite absurd, isn't it? But look at it in another way. This is happening to us. You ask me who I am, I say I'm Indian. Because this car came from India. It was manufactured in India. And I say this is 60 years old. I'm describing the model of the car. I'm brown, black, white, whatever color. I'm describing the color of the car. So actually, this is happening to us. We are identifying ourselves with the car, with the body. We are not the body. We are an occupant in the body. So Krishna gives this example to understand this. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Just like all of you here, if I ask you, can you show me a picture of yours when you were going to the school? You will probably have a young boy or a young girl in a school uniform, carrying a school bag, waiting to get into a school bus or something. Where is that body? That Kaumara body, or childhood body? And now you have all become young people. Now you have a youthful body. But after some time, you will become young men and women, middle-aged men and women. The youthful body is gone. So the body is continuously changing, but you are the same occupant in the body. You remember that, yes, I went to school like this, I went to high school like this, we were living in this part of the city, and so on. So the body is changing, and the occupant in the body, the experiencer, the observer, is the same constant factor. When we are all born, we were just this much. Our mother was holding us. Look what we have become now. But our mother will say, this is my son, this is my daughter. Where is that body which they gave birth, my mother gave birth to? It's gone. But the occupant is the constant factor whom even our parents are again. This is my son, this is my daughter. So, this animating principle that animates this body is a spirit, is the life-giving spirit. And the most important symptom of that spirit is consciousness. We all have awareness. This table has no awareness. We all have awareness. And we are all one unit of consciousness. Indivisible unit of consciousness. We are conscious. What's happening to you, you know. And that's your private and personal experience. You may share that with me, and I'll try to understand, oh, you're feeling like this, you're experiencing like this. But it's something very unique to you. So this is one of the important concepts that Krishna teaches in the Gita about life and the consciousness. And that conscious principle is an eternal principle. And this body may undergo changes. That conscious principle is a constant factor. And when this body is no more usable, just like when car becomes unusable, we discard the car and buy a new car. In the same way, tata dehantara praptihi. When this body is no more usable, we discard this body and move on to a new situation, and life continues. So, this is what is happening as we understand from this perspective. And there are many more nuances and deeper philosophical aspects to why all this happens, why we come here, stay for some more, where do we go, and why some are born in different circumstances. Somebody is born in a less privileged circumstance. Why all this is happening, and so on. So this is another aspect of spiritual knowledge. And most importantly, this knowledge gives us a certain purpose, that I am not just this body, but I am an eternal spirit. And hence, I have to understand my eternal situation. What is it? I have to realize my eternal situation. And how do I understand these things? How do I know? How do I know I'm on the right path? How do I know this is credible knowledge? This is dependable knowledge? Or it is just some faith system? So there's a whole lot of arguments and ideas and concepts developed around these things, which makes this the spiritual body of information. And that inspires us with a higher purpose and higher goal. And when you have a higher purpose and a higher goal, you will know it will empower you to navigate through challenging situations that our life will come across. And it empowers us to do better and handle stressful situations, relationships, anxieties, and challenges that one will come across. Because life is challenging for everyone. Life will become challenging. So we must be equipped with this knowledge so that we can handle and navigate through these challenging situations. So Bhagavad-gita is another last point. Message is that while there's a spiritual reality about us and we have to understand more about it, we also have duties in this world which we should do. So we should discharge our duties dutifully in this world and also aspire to develop ourselves spiritually. So our life should run on 2 tracks minimum. We may have, actually everybody runs their lives on multiple tracks. This is not new. They have a professional life, they have a personal life. They must also have a 3rd spiritual development track. So not that if you have to do spiritual development, you should neglect your professional path or personal life. All of these things can run on parallel tracks. And that's another important message of Krishna in the Gita. You see, food is a gift of God. Food is not man-made. Or you may say, no, the samosa I'm eating has come from some kitchen. Yes, it is. But the person who cooked, the raw materials, the ingredients, are all a gift of God. You have rice, you have wheat, you have vegetables, you have fruits. It's coming from earth. It is coming because of atmosphere. It is because of sunshine. None of these are man-made, or government-made, or industry-made, or king-made. These are gifts of God. If there is no sunlight, we will not have plants. And sun is God's gift to this universe. So if you see it carefully examined this way, the food that we eat, the person we credit, who is the chef who made this? Oh, it's delicious. And then we bring the chef from the kitchen and he will say, yes, I did. Oh, wonderful, you did well. Actually, for him to do well, he used salt, which he got from the ocean. He got all the plants and the vegetables and the fruits, which all result of natural things that are happening. And mind you, he might have cooked a delicious meal. And if that meal, when it touches our tongue, we experience, this is tasty. Then none of these things are in his control or in anybody's control. You see, in the whole body, it's only the tongue which can taste. If I'm touching the food with my fingers, I'm not feeling the taste of it. I'm looking at it, I'm not tasting it. So none of these things are actually man-made. The chef's role is actually so small. I'll give you another example. This water. I mean, we all drink water every few hours. Water is so important. And when we bought this bottle of water, so many people got paid. The bottling plant, the bottling company, somebody who transported the bottle, somebody who made the bottle, and the government took some tax also out of it. Everybody got paid in the supply chain of the water, except when the water was filled in the reservoir, it was filled and somebody picked up that water and put it in a bottle and transported. We paid everybody except the one who was filling the reservoir. Come to think of it. So, it's God's arrangement that there is ocean and that water evaporates, becomes a cloud, and there is a thermal gradient created, because of which there is wind, and the cloud moves over, and then again descends as water and fills our reservoirs, which our bottling company takes the water and brings it to us, and we pay for it. So you can see how food, water, all of these are gifts of God. So feeding is something, it is God's work. It is God who is feeding everyone. How many animals are there in the forest? How many, we have all seen underwater ocean videos, and how many fishes are there? And all of them require unique food, because they all have a different kind of an alimentary system, and it has those kind of digestive juices, and it should get that kind of food. So God is providing food for everyone. Feeding is God's work. And it is so unfortunate, only in the human society, there is disruption of this food reaching everyone because of the intelligent man's systems that we have created. So, feeding is actually God's work. And when we think about it, we are doing God's work, reaching the food to the children who are anyway supposed to get by God's arrangement. Every bird, every insect is getting their food. Every fish, every aquatic is getting the food. It's only human beings we have disrupted. So let's separate these things and see that the food reaches the children who deserve it, who want it, who are in need of it. So that thought highly motivates us. We want to do it under all circumstances. We want to execute God's plan to see that food reaches everyone. So this is the kind of a motivation. And our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, he said, wherever you have a temple, God is the father of everyone. And where there is father, children shall not go hungry. And it's your duty as leaders of temple to see that no one goes hungry around the temple. That was his direction. In that small town called Hubli, we are going to start an Akshay Patra program. And it came in the newspapers. So the next morning I called up, practically yelled at him, "What are you saying? No, we're not too sure how we're going to run the program here in Bangalore. You announced that." And he said, No, Prabhu, I just made one statement and they carried that in the media. I said, no, be very careful. Don't work on that anymore. Don't do anything about it. 3 days later, I got a call from the general reception. They connected the call to my office. And they said, there is one distinguished person in our city, and she wanted to speak to me. And so I said, who's that? And that was Mrs. Sudha Murthy, the wife of Narayan Murthy. And she came on the line, and I was a little bit, she's a big woman, so I was a little bit nervous, and I said, yes, ma'am. And then she said that I heard you want to feed, you're having a feeding program in Hubli, and I'm from that town, and I want to support that. So I said, no, madam, yes, you might have read that in the media, but at the moment, we have no plans to feed there. Can you please help us in feeding in Bangalore? She said, no, Bangalore has a lot of healthy people. I don't want to feed in Bangalore. If you want to do it in Hubli, I will support, otherwise I'm not interested. I said, okay, give me a week's time, I'll come back. And then it's made me think that, here there's an offer of somebody offering some support. And so we decided to set up a kitchen in Hubli. Then we had a visit of a chief minister from Rajasthan. And she came to our temple, she saw the kitchen, and we were feeding 30,000, maybe another 5,000 in Hubli. So she was very impressed, and she said, can you come to Jaipur and set up a kitchen, and I'll give you the support. So we went to Jaipur and we made a presentation. She called all the bureaucrats of the state, and then they offered to support by giving us some place to build a kitchen, and we had to raise all the money. So anyway, we accepted. So like this, it went on and on and on the next 20 years, 18 years. And we had built a large network. Today we have 78 kitchens, as just heard. We are in 16 states. Our model is that we build a centralized kitchen using technology, steam cooking, which accelerates the cooking, and then we have conveyor belts to move the containers around. We have stainless steel insulated containers because the food is kept inside. It's tightly fitting lids are there. So when it reaches, and then we load them into vehicles, and the vehicles take them to the school and drop them off in about a dozen schools and collect the empty vessels from the previous day, and then they bring them back by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's an elaborate process of washing them and keeping them ready for the next day's operation. So our kitchens can cook for about 25,000 meals or 50,000 meals, or in some cases 100,000 meals in about 5 hours. These are ready to eat, local, native Indian food. And in our country, which has a very diverse cultures, every 500 kilometers you travel, you come across a new language and a new habit, new kind of requirement of food. So we are very sensitive to the local children's preferences, and we provide food of that kind. We make some alterations in the kitchen to prepare that kind of meal. Like in North India, we make roti. In South India, we make rice and sambar. And in Gujarat, we make a Gujarati meal. And in Orissa, we make an Odia meal. So we make changes according to the requirements. I must share with all of you being here. This was in the year 2000, approximately 10 or so, 2009, 2010. There was one opportunity, 100 students from here, from the business HBS, they were visiting Bangalore, they were visiting different cities in India, they were understanding how things are changing in India, and they visited our temple and they wanted to know about the Akshaya Patra program, and we made a presentation to about 100 students. And I think they were accompanied by a couple of professors also. And after that interaction, 3 students' nutritional status of children has improved. Dropout rates have decreased. So primarily it addresses classroom hunger and brings more children to school. So we see this as a very strategic intervention program. Government spends a lot of money on school buildings, classroom, uniform, textbook, teacher salary. But if the child is hungry in the classroom, all of this millions of dollars spent by the government is not effective. And we spend a small amount of money feeding children, and that makes all of the other millions of dollars of investment the government makes more productive. So our mission is very simple. Our mission statement is no child in India should be deprived of education because of hunger. So we are a feeding program, but our feeding program is in the school. And now we are 25 years old. And about 5 years back, we started collecting information. What's happened to the children whom we have been feeding for this long? So we started, in our country, the schools don't maintain the records, and especially if the children go away after they pass on, there is no information about them. So we had to struggle to capture and go around. It so happened that there was one program in London School of Economics. And not me, there was another person from our organization, he's the CEO. He was making a presentation of Akshaya Patra and its impact and some of those things to a small group of students. And at the end of the program, one girl walked up to him and said, I was a beneficiary of Akshay Patra in so and so place, and I had received the meal for 8 years. So that was a very startling example. And like this we have come across now. I can tell you one boy who's I met some years ago. They were first time migrants from a village, and they had come to the city. His father had come to the city, and the father became a security guard in some private organization. And he had some 2 or 3 children. And when his son came to high school, so the father told him, "You must go and take a job. You can't continue your studies." And at that time, Akshay Patra was provided. So he went back to the father and said, "There's a meal being provided in the school. Can I continue studies?" And the father thought over and he said, "Okay, at least one meal you will get. You can be in school." And so he continued his high school and he did well. And then we were also giving scholarship to students who were doing well. So he went to college and then he got an admission in an engineering college. And then when I met him, he had got a job in HCL Computers in Delhi. And so he was recalling that how this happened. So we have thousands and thousands of anecdotes of students who were about to drop out of school, but then stayed in school and did well. We have many chartered accountants, architects, and different professions from all over the country. And they fondly remember having me and how that helped them to do well in their studies. So this is the Akshay Patra program. Now, another important factor was that we, from the very beginning, because we were receiving money from the government and also from corporation business houses, so we were very careful in maintaining our accounting practices, and we had very robust, we had KPMG as our auditors from the very beginning, and they were doing it as a pro bono service. And much later, when our volume of work increased, they started sending us an invoice. It was affordable, so we accepted. And we started publishing our annual accounts and had very good practices. And we got the Gold Shield Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So, and second year, again we submitted our annual report and we got a second time award. And like this, 5 consecutive years, we got the Gold Shield Award and we made it to the Hall of Fame of the ICAI. And we were the only NGO. After 5 years of consecutive awards and entering the Hall of Fame, we became disqualified to apply for the 6th year. We have to give opportunity for others. Fair enough. So for another 10 years, we were not allowed to apply. So these were all some of the important practices that we developed because we were getting government money. We wanted to be accountable to the government. And so these are some of the important practices that we have been continuing to practice. And today we are a very sought after NGO. And we go to a state only if the chief minister of the state invites us. Please don't get me wrong that we are arrogant or something. No, we want the main man to invite us. Then rest of the thing becomes easy to work with the government. Otherwise, we will have a hard time to manage the different layers of the government offices. So This is what we have been doing. We have now touched 2.3 million children. And we have now another thing that we have started in the last 2 years, we call it a morning nutrition program. The midday meal is at 12 noon, most of the places. So when children come, we also prepare some breakfast item. It's different in different places. In Chennai, it is idli and sambar. In Gujarat, it is something else. In some places, it is dry roasted cereals and some things like that. So, these children come from poor families. They're not the first timers in their family. Somebody is going to a school. If you say the school begins at 9, class begins at 9 o'clock, children come anytime between 9 and 9:45 a.m. They just trickle in. But now after we started this breakfast program, and we said that 10 minutes before the class begins, you have to come to avail of this. We have about 95% of the children coming before 9 a.m. So, and we are feeding about 1.2 million children breakfast in addition to the 2.3 million. So some of them are the same children get breakfast and the midday meal. So today, this is what is happening. And after a certain point, we had to bring professionals. Initially, our volunteers were doing the cooking and all kinds of things. There were some occasions when, in the very beginning days, the driver didn't show up. So our own devotees jumped in and drove the big van for the first time going to the school. So these kind of things were happening. But now we have about 1,000 vehicles all over the country. We have about 9,000 people working in Akshay Patra. So we have an HR, we have a CFO, finance department, we have quality department, we have fundraising department. And there was one supporter of our Akshay Patra program from Boston. And he used to visit us, and he would donate also some money. And then monks like me would raise money every year for running the program. This was about 5 years after we had started the program. And then he came and said, in America, he's from here, Boston. So he said, in America, this is you have to have a fundraising team, and you must spend some money so they will go and raise money, and you have to give them a good salary. And so we took the matter to our Akshay Patra board, and the board members said, nothing doing, you can't spend money to raise money. You have to somehow, the monks are raising, and that's okay, that's good enough. So then from the temple, we took a decision. From the temple, we will spend money and build a team. And we built a small team of 3 people, headed by one MBA marketing person. And for about 1 year, they didn't raise any money. And then there were people, we told you this will not work, you have to continue doing. And then the second year, they raised some money. And third year, they raised a lot more. And today we have a professional fundraising team with probably a dozen MBAs, and they raise, you should help me convert these Indian rupees, they raise about 350 crores last year, and this year they are poised to touch 400 crores. How much would that be? Somebody can help? $40 million. How much? $40 million. $40 million. So we're raising about $40 million a year, and it's increasing year after year. So it worked. We have a very strong marketing fundraising team. They go about, write proposals, make presentations, make a pitch, and many levels of clearances and approvals, and then finally it goes to certain level, board level. Sometimes the amount is big. So, and we also have an online fundraising using the net, and also raises about 40 crores a year online. And after introducing the professional fundraising team and having a professional, there is a certain amount of professionals who are in senior positions, and all of them are very good-hearted people. One partner from Deloitte, he came for 1/3 his salary and became the CFO of Akshay Patra. And still our admin cost is single digit. So largely more than 90% of the donations we get go to field. So now it is 25 years old. Now we are talking about succession. We are grooming younger leaders, even among monks. Even I'm getting old. I should be doing this more. I should let younger people do. I'm over 62, so it's time to retire. So the younger monks are taking roles now. You see, the day-to-day operations are managed and overseen by monks. The rest of the things are professionals. So that's another unique feature of Akshay Patra. It's a confluence of missionaries who come like me, and there is professionalism. So there is compassion, professionalism, and government participation. And because of that, we are able to create a bigger social impact. Especially in our country, which is a very, very large population. And we tell people, please don't leave all of the developmental things only to the government. Even civic citizens and civic society organizations should participate. Because, as you must be knowing, India is doing very well, and I guess will continue to do well. But still, if the people of India have to derive the benefits of the growth story of our country, they have to be educated. If they are not educated, they don't have primary education, secondary education, or to some extent higher education. They will not be able to reap the benefits of the growth of our country. So education, nutrition, these are very important. And so we are addressing that. And this has been the story of Akshay. And one last point maybe. We were keeping account of the cumulative number of meals that we have been serving. And at one point we touched 1 billion meals. And we had a celebration around that. And the husband of Sudha Murthy, Narayan Murthy, came and served the first billionth meal. 5 years later, we served the second billionth meal. And we had the Rashtrapati, former president of India. At that time, he came, Pranab Mukherjee came and served the second billionth meal. And 2019, we served the third billionth meal, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi served the third billionth meal. And that was 2022, sorry, 2019 was 2020. And 2024, we served the fourth billionth meal, and we had a commemoration, we had a celebration. And the United Nations headquarters in New York City, and the Indian mission hosted that. And now we are poised for the 5th billionth meal and the 25th anniversary. We're still thinking where to have the celebration. Appropriate opportunity. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
What is the higher purpose?
Yes. Let me spend a little time to explain this. This is because it's very important question is, now you see, we are now here in this world and we have certain relationships. The most important and the first relationship we all develop is our father and mother. And then we have probably siblings, brothers, sisters. And then we have friends. And as we grow up, we build new relationships. And it's actually these relationships which makes our life more delightful. And we have all of these different relationships and life goes on. And then the hard reality of life is that at some times, some of these very cherished and valuable relationships suddenly end. And at some point, our own existence comes to an end in this life, in this situation. At which point, all the relationships that we have somehow comes to an end. So what is happening? Why is this happening? Very fundamental question is, why does the universe exist? And why do we exist? I don't know if you've heard about this book. Stephen Hawking wrote a book, Brief History of Time. And scientists like Stephen Hawking and many other scientists around the world have been working on cutting edge of science. And it's been going on for many years. It's called the Grand Unification Theory. And he gave a new name, the theory of everything, to it. And that's how his biopic, which was released some years ago, is called the theory of everything. So he writes about that and he says that if we really are able to understand this theory of everything, because that's a theory which is supposed to explain everything in the universe, us, the society, everything around us, what is happening. So he says that if we are able to really crack that theory of everything, if we are able to find, that will be a triumph of human intellect, then we will know why the universe exists and why we exist. And he goes on to say, probably we would know the mind of God. So anyway, this question, why the universe exists, why we exist, is central to the message of Gita and the Vedanta philosophy now. So I was talking about the spirit, a unit of spirit, consciousness, which we are all. And that unit of spirit is not changing, although the body is changing, the mind is changing, the intellect is changing. It's the spirit that remains constant and observes and experiences all the things that happen. Now, there is a source for all of these things, the source of spirit and the source of matter. And that source, if I say there is a source, one may ask the question, oh, is that the source? Then what is its source? Right? So this search for the source and its source, and the Vedic literatures reveal that there is one ultimate source from which everything is coming. if you ask the question, what is its source? You see, when you ask the question source, its source, you're doing cause-effect analysis. And it's happening on the time dimension. Time itself is coming from that source. So something beyond that, time, it is beyond time, space, matter, energy. It's of another kind of existence. And that source of everything, the Vedic literatures reveal, is a person. And because we have all come from that source, who is a person, we have a relation with that source. Just like we all have a relation with our father and mother, who is our source. Suppose you are in the middle of an important assignment in your, whatever you do, test or assignment or projects or whatever you do. And then your team, you're all working together. And then you get a call from your home. Somebody says that your mother is ill. She wants to see you. I mean, you'll drop everything and go, isn't it? And even your team members, they'll say, no, please go attend to that. We will handle this matter. Why? Because she is the source from whom we have my existence. I owe my existence to my father and mother. And they nourished me, looked after me. And so I owe a lot to them. So now, there could be people who are unmindful of their father and mother. There could be, right? And we would say, what is this? This is not refined thought. You should be grateful to your parents from whom we have all come. So now, if we become a little bit more sensitive, our parents are actually our source in a limited sense, in a biological sense. They are source for this body. And even in that sense, it's not that they are the complete source. If you say that they are the complete source, then we have to ask the parents of blind children, why did you create your child blind? And they will say, no, we had no control. They were also part of a larger mechanism that is working, and we are born. Even they had no full control over it. This is reality. So now we come from an ultimate source from whom all of us are coming. So we also have a relation with that source, who is a person. And so we have a relation with that person. Understanding, appreciating these things at an intellectual level, and beginning to understand that a little bit more sensitively, and beginning to perceive that through certain spiritual processes. That is the purpose of life. To recognize who is the ultimate source of everything. And the Vedic literatures inform us that there is an ultimate source, and that source is a person, and that person, he is all attractive, and hence everyone is naturally drawn to him. And because he is all attractive, sarvam karshayati, in Sanskrit he is called Krishna. It is not a sectarian understanding. What is presented in the Vedic literature is not a sectarian thought. There is a source for everything, and that source, we are all related to that source. We must revive our relation with that source. We have become forgetful of that relationship. And there is a process to revive that relationship. Just like somebody has a road accident, has a head injury, the person becomes unconscious, rushed to the hospital. 24 hours later, he comes back to consciousness. And his relatives, family members come. You look at them and ask, who are you? The family members are shocked. He's asking, I'm his wife. We are his children. The doctors will say, no, don't worry, keep coming. In a few days we will treat him and his memory will come back. In the same way, the Vedic literature is present. There is a treatment, and that's called sadhana, by which our relationship is revived. So that reviving and understanding and experiencing and appreciating that relationship becomes the goal of life. While we do our duties that is called upon us in this world, carefully, ethically, sensitively, contentedly, not trying to break laws, do unethical things. Because this is not the only thing in life. There's a much bigger goal in life, much more sublime purpose in life. So we know how to deal with these things with a sense of detachment, and that's very essential. Yes?
I have a question. If you had easier question than it was asked, but your say most 5 favorite lines from the Bhagavad-gita. So what the line is and what it means. I know it's hard to put 5 together, but perhaps 5 come to top of mind as to what you might go back to.
Okay. There is one 5 lines, 5 verses.
5 verses.
Oh, 5 verses.
Just I don't actually know.
Okay, 5
5 lines.
5 lines.
5 lines.
No problem.
Lines.
There is one statement of Krishna towards the end of the Gita. He says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva bhapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shujaha. Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. I have described to you so far many aspects of dharma. But now I am telling you, Sarva dharman parityajya. Give up all of that and surrender to me. I will protect you. Do not fear. So this is considered to be an important statement of Krishna, that we utterly surrender to God. And Lord will protect us, and we should not fear. This is one of the important statements.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. I have a unrelated question to what you spoke about, but the fact that you spoke. So we've been talking for more than an hour. What I'm very surprised on what I saw is that you use very few filler words. Like when I'm speaking, I use a ton of them, and I've seen that a lot of people that they have a lot of filler words. How did you become such good at communication that you don't use filler words at all? I mean, I haven't heard such a good talk for such a long time without any.
Thank you for the compliment. I would say it's just Krishna's blessing. And when something like this was spoken about to my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, he said, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So it's not really. Thank you. Yes, please.
If you had to give some advice to your younger self, you could communicate with yourself when you were a college student age, knowing the knowledge you have right now, the life that you have right now, what would you be telling yourself?
Great question. Don't waste your time pursuing fleeting things, because all of them will just vanish someday. Do most valuable things that are important for yourself and for others in the world. Because I've done a lot of wasteful things when I look back. So I could have saved energy, time, attention to more meaningful things. Probably, I would say that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Namaste, I'm Narayani. I'm from the Kennedy School. A verse that we always used to chant when we were kids was Purnam, adah, purnamidam. And you mentioned about the ultimate source having a form and there is one source. I wanted to sort of understand how is it linked to like this verse, because I have heard multiple versions of what it actually means, and it's sort of like a circular meaning of there is Brahman and that is within us and outside, and it's an aggregate sum, and there are many convolutions of that. How exactly can we relate the discussion of source and spirit and consciousness to the Purnam?
Let's see what the verse says. It's a famous verse from the Upanishad. Om Purnam adah, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnam udachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnamevavashishyate. I'll do a simple translation of this. That is complete and perfect. I'm translating the word Purnam to complete and perfect. That is complete and perfect. This is complete and perfect. This has come from that complete and perfect source. And even after this complete and perfect has come from that complete and perfect, that remains complete and perfect. So basically, this Upanishad is saying there is a source from which this world, all of this universe has come. And the universe is also complete and perfect in itself. And although this universe has come from that source, that still remains unchanged and remains complete and perfect. So this universe is described as complete and perfect because all of the internal processes that exist, like you have a cycle of life, food chain, like I was describing now, food available for everyone, except human beings because of our misdoing. And so in that sense it is complete. And this has come from that complete. And although this has come from that, that remains complete and perfect. Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnamevavashishyate. It remains Purnam. Now, I was telling about, I rushed through those thoughts when someone asked me, personal statement. I was describing that, you were there, right? Yeah. Sorry, that source from which everything has come, that source is Purnam. It is addressing that source from which everything has come. Now that source from which everything has come is Purnam, and it is perfect and complete. And because everything is coming from that source, and I also mentioned to you that we take this knowledge. You see, suppose you want to understand with your intelligence, is there a source of everything? And if I find a source for everything, I will next ask the question, what is its source? You can go on and on and on. It will be inconclusive. Tarko apratishtaha. By logic, if you try to do, it is apratishtaha, inconclusive. So, what we do is, we take knowledge from the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures posit that there is a source. And And that source has no other source. And that source is the source of everything else. Same purnam, adah, purnam. It's talking about. Now, the Vedic literatures also say that source is a person. And hence, all of us who are persons, coming from him, I'm using the word him, please don't get me wrong, why not her? It's neither him nor her in the sense of the masculine and feminine genders of this world. Here we have these genders. Now we are talking about a transcendental source who is beyond masculinity and femininity. It's of another domain, that's what I say. Krishna says in the Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. My birth, my activities, my personality, everything is divya. Divya meaning beyond matter. So Krishna is saying that my existence, my personality is transcendental, beyond matter, beyond this domain. So in this domain we have men and women and all these genders and all of these kind of things. So he's beyond this. Then why did you say him? You may ask. Yes, in a transcendental sense, he is a transcendental male. And in fact, we are all Prakriti. We are transcendental female. That is the understanding. He is. That is why you must have heard of another verse in the Rig Veda. Vedaham etat purusham. Vedaham etat purusham param tat. Aditya varnam tamasah parastha. There is a Purusha, and that Purusha is tamasaha parastha. Tamasaha means this world. This word, tamasa also means dark. This world is actually dark. Right? Because sun rises, we get light. And when the sun sets, it becomes dark. By nature, this world is actually dark. Only because we have sun and few other stars, there is light. But otherwise, if those things go away, it is dark. So this material world material domain is called dark. And he is beyond this. So, what was your question? Sorry, I got carried away. My thoughts.
I think in the whole answer, I could find my answer.
Oh, really?
On that note, I know we've gone a little bit over when we had our Zoom books, and I know, but I would like to thank you very much for the time, for continuing we added some more meals to the Akshay Foundation with the Prasad today. No, but thank you very much for the dinner. Thank you so very much, everybody, for joining and coming from. We have people from various schools who traveled quite a bit to come here, and we'd like to thank you all for coming. And thank you, Sridasa, for coming and obliging us with this talk. And we hope that the Akshay Patra Foundation continues to grow, continues to do all the incredible work that you all are doing in not just making meals accessible, but what that translates to youth empowerment in the nation. So thank you very much. Thank you so much. We will do the group photo right now. Yes? Yeah.
So nice.